Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 27th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's calling to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending entirely on their personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, hats off to Storm. He is the brains behind the technologies that keeps this place running. He's also the primary moderator that makes sure that problem children don't stick in the chat room. Even if you're trying to hide and sneak in under a different name, don't ask me how, but he will find you. Now, with that in mind, we also have LA in the room, and she is the moderator that keeps an eye open, keeps the conversation going, as well as make sure my health stays on track. And before you jump on that, pizza's up front, but it was late getting here, so it's going to have to wait until after the show. But other than that, been getting a lot of physical exercise lately, so I'm doing okay on that end. Now, today we are looking at you, your energy flow, and the resulting physical health. Okay, and again, these are tools I personally put to use. Now, I'm not great on the weight loss thing, primarily because I keep doing it the other way. But before we go too far, Philip, you are in with the gold. How's it going? Glad you could join us. Now, one thing I found where it comes to weight loss, first and foremost, quit aiming to lose it. And here's why. Okay, I don't mean you shouldn't become lighter or you shouldn't discard any excess weight. But it seems to me that humans around the world, and for that matter, any other species, when you go to lose something, you almost instinctively go to try and find it again. Where it comes to weight, though, it seems to come back with company. So, if you're looking at losing weight, it might be in your best interest to focus more on the idea of discarding it or dropping it. Now, it's a simple case of mathematics, by the way, guys. Okay? If you put less calories into your body than you're burning, you will drop weight. Now, I went through my office today, okay, and I managed to get all of the clutter in the office. It's all gone. Okay, what you see up here on this shelf, those are all figures I'm in the middle of painting. Okay, which means they're not cluttered, they're just a work in progress. My desk is completely clear of everything except what I'm working on. And it'll get completely clear by the end of the night. So when we look at that, I've got the energy out of here. Net result, when did I get up this morning? That is an excellent question. Just to give you an idea how well that works. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Got to bed last night at 11 o'clock. Woke up at 1:30 this morning. Was up until 4. And then slept till 6. I've been on the go all day today, including a 2-hour walk. Now, what do we got here? Yeah, Philip, you're absolutely right. But I will tell you, just a point in observation. Philip goes, gaining muscle burns unwanted weight. I'm going to clarify that just a bit. Okay? And that little clarification is this. Building muscle doesn't actually burn weight, but it certainly burns flab. And here's why. 1 pound of muscle compared to 1 pound weight. Both of them weigh the same. They both weigh a pound. But the fact of the matter is, you change muscle and weight, and you change fat into muscle, and all of a sudden, you're taking up a lot less room. Okay. Now, where are we here? We had Philip in with the gold. Whoa, you are in with the silver. How's it going? Rachel, in with the bronze. No, you've been busy. You always are. Hopefully things are going well. And there is Renee Andrews coming in with honorable mention. Where did I just see her? Whoa. Rachel. Could have sworn I saw Renee. Oh, there we are. Could have sworn I saw Renee pop in. And maybe I just can't read. But, what do we got here? And we have, Woogles have been, we're cutting back a lot on late night snacks. The neat part about it is this. Philip goes, he helps with your health span. The neat part is the more energy you've got running freely, the healthier you're going to be. Now, I don't know how much it's going to lengthen your life, but I will tell you, if you're healthy, you're going to feel like you're going to enjoy life a whole lot more. At least that would be the theory. Now, the neat part about stress is a lousy way to actually drop weight. I did a wonderful job with it. Stress went too high, had a heart attack, had another one. Decided a stroke was something I hadn't tried. There we are. LA goes, when I was teaching phys ed and MMA for 10 hours a day, I weighed 160 and wore a size 2 dress. So fat is fluffy, muscle is tight and small. No doubt. No doubt there at all. I'm still working at turning things around and breaking that 180 on the downslide. I am consistently under the 185 right now, though. That being said, used to be, ages ago, I got to 246 and went, I'm not making it any higher. And I will tell you, the more of the clutter I get out of my life, the better off it is. Donna C., how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, why do I not see? I could have sworn I saw Renee in here. Am I just seeing things here? Did I see Renee pop in and now I don't see her? Oh, well. That's just muttering on my part, I think. Where are we? Woo goes, I've lost almost 50 pounds since January 1st. That, I will warn you, Woo, that's a dangerous, I don't know what the doctors say. In my opinion, 10 pounds, 10 pounds a month. If you've lost 50 since January, that's 10 pounds a month. That's a good speed. That side of it is a good speed. That's about what I did. I just haven't dropped it in a long time. Woo goes, I can't believe it. I'm right at 200 pounds. For the longest time there, I don't know if this will help, Woo, but for probably 6 months to a year, I stayed above the 200. Operation, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Well, this is going away. I wasn't looking at, but here's the neat thing. You notice as the weight comes on, your energy level climbs. Okay. The reason being, you're number one, it may not be a weight loss, but as your muscle grows, it's easier to carry what you actually weigh. And one of the things we got to look at here is when you're looking at the energy you're putting out. you really have to take, Rachel goes, I really need to gain weight. Well, that's a rare one. Although I have seen people that have required it. Eternity, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The neat part about it, when you're looking at clearing clutter, okay, clearing the energy, so clearing the clutter, so your energy in the room, in the building flows properly, you'll find it has a neat little impact on your own physical health. Okay, this is why I tell people there's an old axiom that goes, the state of your room is a reflection of the state of your mind. Well, with this in mind, clear out the clutter in your room and your brain will start working. In some people's cases, I'm not holding my breath. Okay, but one thing I will tell you, it's not me that has to think somebody is thinking clearly. It's you yourself. Okay, one of them, you see, it's not sharp, although paper can cut. I look at it going this way: you take the clutter around you, start getting rid of it, but I do not mean just move it somewhere else. Okay, I am referring to making certain that whatever you're moving out of the area, that you've actually got a place for it. It's just one of those things that works really well. The other thing you'll find is it's a pain in the neck. And usually when somebody starts to look at the energy levels, they look at this overwhelming mass. Okay, going, I haven't decluttered in 5 years. And I've got this massive mess. Do your best not to look at the mass. Okay, take a look at one small section. Like, for instance, I've got 15 feet of desk here. Okay, I looked at the desk my monitor is sitting on, the section my computer sits on, the section my calendar sits on, and then I've got a shelf and a table. So I did each one at a time. They were all just absolutely a disaster because of what I was working on the other side. Yeah, you might have a problem telling how I live by the inside of my car. I gave my car to my son. But this is where you run into an interesting thing. Woo's just letting us know. They do say you can tell how a person lives and how a person lives their life based on how the inside of their car looks and their house. Okay, some people it's the car, some people it's the house. For me, it'll have to be the house at this point. Okay, but here's the thing. You can tell how they live it, but it won't tell you how they think. Okay, one of the things we have to remember is when we're looking at physical health, half of your physical health, I'm no physician, okay, so I am just guesstimating. Half of your physical health is literally the cause of the majority of your is literally caused by the state of your mind. Now, Wu's asking, what kind of vehicle did you have? I used to have a 2022 Mitsubishi RVR. Picked it up brand new because I am not mechanically capable. Okay, I'd like to say I am, but I'm not. So it's bought and paid for. I gave it to my son. Okay, and he's down on the coast. He's done more work. He's done more driving in the last month than I did in the last year. But it was up to date and running properly, so that's the important factor. Now, but I do agree with you. And it's the same thing with the car. If your house is not clutter-free, if it's all jammed up, you're not going to be relaxing at all. Okay? I have been clearing the clutter out of my house and getting rid of a staggering amount of it. Okay? And no, I didn't box it up and go, oh, I'm just going to put it in another storeroom. I have sorted it out where all of these shelves, all these little bins here are all full of plastic of the little D&D figures I've been working on. You know, things like this little monster. And yes, I'm getting back to painting them properly. But I've now got them laid out where I can get at them. Okay. Yeah, Philip goes vroom vroom. And this is literally about the car. Because it's certainly not the way I walk. I walk with a cane, so it's usually a clunk clunk. But when you take a look at the energy in your house, get it cleared. I know I've talked about it. I know I've talked about it to you about it before. Now, there are people that claim that they do energy clearing. Now, I can name a few. I'm not going to on air because I haven't been given permission. But I will caution you, most people, and this sounds really, really bad. Okay, I know this. This is why I won't give names. Most people that claim to do energy work don't. The first person I ran into, I've run into a lot of them, they claimed they were doing energy work. When they told me what they were doing, I was in the middle of a psychic fair, and I looked at the person, and I said, well, if you're transferring energy from your aura to theirs, shouldn't there be energy running between your hands and their head? Okay. Now, needless to say, I'm not known for being subtle. But I will tell you, this is why I say, when I talk about energy flow and physical health, okay, I got the office cleared out, and as you can tell, that includes my bedroom. Okay. But I got the clutter out, and I'm sleeping a lot better. Not a lot longer, but a lot better. You know, this is just the reality of it. You'll find the same thing. You know, but the problem that you may run into is if you've gotten to the point, if you've arrived at that point in life where clutter is comfortable, understand, and most people don't get this one. Philip, I took a look at those and went, really bad idea. So no, I really haven't. Phil's just asking if I ever tried one of those stand-up scooters. I won't even touch one. And here's why. I mean, they're a great little thing. They're better than cars. But here's the kicker. You get onto a scooter. Now, when you get off it, you're still moving a little, and you got to put your leg down. The odds are I put my leg down, the knee buckles, and I fall over anyway. I'm way better off walking. I just don't walk as far, that's all. Mind you, today was weird. I literally walked from 8 in the morning until 10, till about 11. It wasn't a 2-hour walk, it was a 3. Okay. Came home, didn't even have to take a nap. This is a side effect of walking more and more. You know, I saw a post on Facebook today. It was priceless. Guy, and it was just a cartoon. This guy's talking to a gorilla. And he looks at the gorilla and he goes, you animals are so stupid. And the gorilla looks at the guy and goes, and you guys drive to the gym to walk on a treadmill. And that was literally where it ended. And the reason I bring this up is this. If you desire to drop weight, if you desire to get in better cardio, you gotta move. Oh. Yeah, Wu goes, have you dealt with entity attachments since getting rid of the clutter in your house? Sometimes the entities that are attached to objects will get ticked when thrown out. Nice part. Okay. Nice idea. And the answer is, well, no. Of course, I spot an entity in here, and I literally look at them and go, you're going now, one way or the other. Okay. I have a bit of a, shall we say, an understanding with entities. I walk in, they walk out if I don't desire them there. And yes, that sounds cocky as all get Okay, but you got to realize how long I've been doing this. And you are right, Philip. Falling over with a buckling knee sounds very unpleasant. Give you an idea. Okay, when the last time my knee buckled badly, I ended up sitting on the ground. My femur, my thigh leg, was pointing straight forward away from me like it should have been. My tibia and fibula, which are your shin bones, were pointing in a 90-degree angle to the left, and the foot was still pointing up. Now, this is a normal position for me. It's a really uncomfortable one, but it happens regularly. So I just don't like doing that anymore. But you are right, it's extremely unpleasant. But no, and the thing is, as you remove the clutter, from that standpoint, make certain that you turn around and you do let the entities know, assuming you have accepted the fact they can be there. Let the entities know, I'm clearing clutter. I suggest you leave. LA goes, I'm doing better. Walked up a ramp talking. That may sound lame, but 2 months ago I couldn't make the ramp. Yeah, I know how that feels, but I am really happy you made the ramp. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Ouch. Whoa. I feel for her. I really do. I ended up breaking my radius. Okay, and that was painful enough. But I will tell you, if your other half, okay, if she focuses simply on the word heal, she can accelerate the speed that fibula remends itself. Okay, and do understand something, and this goes to all of you. If you're under the care of a physician, okay, or in this case, probably a surgeon, if you're under their care, okay, it is extremely important you stay working with them. They theoretically know more than you do. Okay. Yeah. LA goes, talking was the kicker. I had enough air for it. Yeah, and that's always a nice feeling. It's like when I went out yesterday, we went out, my fiance and I, we went out for a long walk. When we pushed the time way too fast. We had the pace set too high. Both of us came home and ended up passing out. This time, didn't have to. But I attribute a lot of that to the fact that I've gotten a chunk of the clutter out of here. Speaking of which, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to. Just because I decided to. Kind of the way things work for me. Should be only a couple of days at this point. This is one of the things that happens when you get clutter done. By the way, we are over with Races of the Worlds. And when I got all this cleared out, all of a sudden things started to fall into place. We are approximately, I think, page 50. I wonder if I've got it open. Yep, I do. We are on, there we are. Page 56 out of 96. So we're over halfway through getting all of the expansion on Races of the World 2nd edition out. Okay, we're already on, and we're past the halfway mark now. So it is coming to a close. But this is the newest one coming. It'll be out in a couple of days. That's the proof I got today. Okay, and it's because of following things like this. This is why I'm putting them on paper. Okay, by getting the clutter out of here, all of a sudden the different projects are racking off. Okay, I'm probably 3/4 of the way through writing Believe in Your Organization. which will be coming out as soon as I can get that one tied off. Where am I here? Get that closed down because I don't need it. Oh, there we are. Yeah, I find I don't usually make it past midnight at this point. Once in a while I do, Joe. Really wish I could get the computer working properly and get back on air. But I'm still having troubles making everything work. It's just a pain in the neck on my end. But I certainly have not forgotten. And we'll go to 12:25 here. Yeah, right now we're only at 9:25. Okay. However, when we get done here at 10, lousy time to do it, but I'm going to end up grabbing a quick bite to eat. And then probably going to bed. Okay. But the more you get the clutter out of your room, remember, energy works like water. If you've got rain gutters on your house or a ditch near you, if it's filled up with debris, it's not going to let the water run. Well, the same thing happens in a house, in an office, in your own head. If your room is all cluttered full of stuff, you're not going to relax well. Okay. And I mean, you can argue the point. Some of you will go, oh, I can go into bed and be asleep like that. And some can. Okay. Question is, are you getting restful sleep? And that becomes the real hiccup. Now, the other thing that I have found is that when let's say you can't get the clutter out of the way, still organize it in a functional fashion. By organizing it, you will find things come together very nicely. Okay, and that's just the reality behind it. One of the biggest challenges you run into is a really neat kicker. Okay, that kicker is you get into that, you get the energy, you get the stuff in your house organized. And this is where having that list put together. This will help keep your mind organized. Again, it gets the clutter, the energy flowing properly. If you can think straight, okay? And in my case, this means on top of doing a whole pile of other things, not the least of which was a 3-hour walk this morning. In all fairness, Operation, yeah, I really do. Operation's going, Keith, do you have any tips for restful sleep? Absolutely. Start with this one. Do not worry. First of all, don't bother setting a time to go to bed. In my experience with the number of people I've talked to, setting a time to go to bed doesn't work. Because if you're not tired, you're not going to sleep anyway. But set a time to get up. Okay. Now, around the world, the most successful people in the world, all the way around the globe, are up and active by 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning, local time. Okay. So set your clock, set your alarm to get up between 5 and 6. Your call when. Okay. This idea of I've got to stay, but I need my 8 hours of sleep. Well, that's no problem. Go to bed at 10. Okay. Now, that said, what I have discovered, like I got looking at it, and it was kind of weird. Most people talk about requiring 8 hours of sleep. I find if you get more than 6, there's a couple of hiccups. But the other thing, in today's world, technology is abuzz with clutter. Okay. One of the best things you can do, take all of your optical input, your video, your movies, your video games, okay, any of that side of it. Turn the video of, turn the picture of your TV off. turn the picture of your computer off. Okay? An hour before you go to sleep. Turn it off. Yeah. LA goes, Storm and I work nights and afternoons all our working lives. It's still natural for us to night owl. No doubt. And the one thing I have found, though, guys, in a case like that, because there's always variations, okay? In a case like that, it still applies. Pick when you're going to bed. But for those of you that are what is called diurnal, meaning you are awake during the day, okay, what has been discovered, and I call it discovered, it was from my talking to people, not from some sort of government or research lab information, okay? But it seems that an hour of sleep before midnight is kind of like 2 hours of sleep after, okay? Now, you guys get to sleep and set your own sleep patterns, but turn the optical off no matter what time of day you're going to bed, okay? Turn the optical input off because then the flashing lights. Pinky, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. And where are you? Missed you coming in, but the reason I said hi, Pinky, is it looks like Philip spotted you coming in. And I really don't see him. This is terrible. I'm wondering if I'm missing things. But one of the biggest things I got to look at. Oh, nice, Joe. Joe goes, nice thing here. Outside, it's peace and quiet. It's been that way since 9 p.m. In 9 p.m. Eastern, when the sun sets. You know, the one thing I do find with people, okay, is that when you're looking at time, okay, and I don't understand a lot of it, but absolutely, if you've got your video running, whether that's a TV, a computer, a pocket moron like the old what were they called now, Game Boys, that sort of thing. Turn all video input off. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Ellie. One of the nice little things about it, when you start removing the clutter, is you'll find that you have more energy to function, more energy to move with. Okay? And as that energy climbs, not only are you going to feel better, but because your mind is working faster, it can pass on the nutrients that are required to the rest of your body. Okay? And again, don't take my word. Okay? This is why I tell you to do your own research. I can tell you these things work for me. Okay? I can tell you they have worked for literally thousands of others. I'll tell you the one sound that I only heard once in my life, growing up on the island, growing up on Vancouver Island, I only heard the Aurora Borealis once. And let me tell you, what they tell you is the Aurora Borealis on the internet, when they say, oh, I recorded it and here it is in full Technicolor. It has nothing to compare it by, in my opinion. Okay, but the other thing you'll find is another little tip for getting sleep. And it does boil down to energy management. When you're ready to go to sleep, when you're done watching TV, you're done doing whatever you're doing, lay down. Okay? Don't prop yourself up in a chair if you can avoid it. Some of you have to sleep in a chair, your lungs don't work. Deal with it. And I don't mean, well, get over it, it's just your lungs. But your best bet is to lay down and stretch out. Okay? It does promote a better sleep. Yeah. Now, the one question I got for you there, LA says, I often use YouTube videos to relax. Do you actually watch the videos, or you just turn them on to listen to them? And bearing, one thing I will warn you guys, when I talk about shutting the video off, some of you are going, oh God, give a shortcut, I'll close my eyes. It doesn't work the same way. Okay, if you've got video running, it's going to play on the back of your eyes, on the back of your eyelids. This is going to interrupt your deep sleep. Oh, there you go. I'll blame you there. LA goes, it's rain sounds and sounds of wind, thunder, etc. Absolutely. I recommend not listening to tornadoes and earthquakes. Not necessarily the most relaxing sounds. Okay. But because you're turning the video off, you'll find you actually sleep a lot better. Okay. The other thing you'll find, and this I really recommend for first thing in the morning. It's kind of the opposite of how to get a decent night's sleep. Okay, in the morning, before all I do first thing in the morning, most of the time, I'll get up in the morning, I'll wake up, wait for my eyes to focus, get to the washroom, do what I got to do. Okay, now for some of you, there's a lot of things we could go into. We're not going to. Okay, but then I come back to my bed and I literally do a little bit of exercise and then make the bed and carry on with the day. This is just a way to get the blood pumping. And again, if you've got a standard routine, here, Joe goes, fireplace videos or Mozart. Slow on YouTube for me. If I got online from being out in life for the day, yeah, quite honestly, it is. My brother used to swear by the idea of the classical artists. Philip, I absolutely agree with you. I don't listen to politicians when I'm awake. Why bother when I'm asleep? I had somebody today ask me about a politician. I said, look, I don't watch the news. Well, I'll send you the video. I'm not going to watch it. There's a reason I don't watch politicians, but I will tell you this. Every single one of you out there is a politician. You're all spiritual guides, first responders, and you're all children. Some of you are parents, but not all of you. But every one of you is a child. And energy doesn't care who you are. Okay? Energy works like energy works. And one thing you can keep in mind is the energy running through your body, cell to cell, joint to joint, is the same energy that gauges how the universe works. It's an identical match. From my standpoint, there are conversations I won't get into. Okay, there's not many I won't put my foot in my mouth with, but what the heck. But as you get the energy in your life moving properly, the things that are bothering you, if you cannot bring yourself at this point to tell the people directly that you're upset with, write them a letter. Now, whether you send it or not is not the critical factor. If something is burning on your mind as you're going to bed, write it out. If something is burning on your mind as you're getting ready to go to bed, take a moment and write the problem out. Okay? And again, the reason you write it down is by writing on a sheet. And this works best on paper because, quite frankly, you can burn the paper later. Not a good idea to burn your computer. But you write it out, it gets that negative energy out of your body. And this is the key to really dropping the stress and thereby getting a night's sleep. By the way, when I talk about when we talk about not going to bed angry, okay, it's not just because you've got a problem with your other half or with a brother or whatever. It's because hanging on to hanging on to the negative energy is a problem. That's why you don't go to bed angry, if at all possible. Doesn't always work that way, by the way. And Philip, that's a complicated question. Ultimately, yes. What it was I ended up having the yawn. Yeah. Philip goes, sounding like when I get water down my windpipe. I've tried water down my windpipe. This is not an enjoyable experience. Mind you, I took it to extremes. I drowned. But it is no fun getting water down your windpipe. And again, I'll tell you, all the energy in the world, you get water there, you're going to have a problem. Because I don't think most of you breathe water. Matter of fact, I wonder if any of you do. But with this in mind, the more you keep the energy flowing smoothly, which means get things organized. I can look in my office desk right now. I can tell anybody, this is where you go to get what I require. Okay, wouldn't matter if I let them in the house. I can tell them exactly where to go in easy description, except for the specifics on my figures. When I'm trying to describe to somebody something like this, right, it's a little tricky on occasion. But to tell them I'm looking for a figure up in the bin, I can tell you that's where it is. When you're looking at the energy, it literally boils down to any energy clutter, any bottleneck is going to make your health suffer. This may be your eyesight, it might be your hearing, it could be your stomach, your abdomen, your weight. And yes, many people, he goes, I do well to breathe air. A friend of mine made the mistake when he was a lot younger. And now you've heard, many of you have heard of snorting drugs. Well, this buddy of mine ended up making the mistake one day of snorting Coke. And I mean Coca-Cola. The stuff you're supposed to drink? Well, he ended up popping it out his nose. And apparently that burns like there's no tomorrow. Yeah. Stuart goes, Joe goes, journals, dream journals for me. But you guys already know that. Most of us do. But I will tell you, Joe's been with me literally since the beginning when I first started this stream. I looked at it the other day. I think he was one of the first people that came in. I think. But Joe's been around, and Joe. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're here. My fiance, Kira, bought me a journal. Okay, for my birthday back on May 13th. So I'm using that right now too. Yeah, the world record that I know of, and I don't know if it's still listed, about 40 years ago, there was a young lady down in the South Pacific that was underwater free diving for 20 minutes. Okay, now that's an insane amount of time. I didn't last 20 minutes. Matter of fact, as near as I can figure, I lasted, well, I went down, I'm guessing I went down somewhere close to the 30-foot mark. But I got picked up, and I got drawn into an intake valve. I managed to get free, but not before I died. That was fun. Tell you, Dad wasn't overly impressed with me. I mean, he was impressed that I survived again, but he was not happy with the fact that I died in the first place. Although, in my world that gets redundant. But again, and here's a neat little thing. I was going to say, I looked at that when people in Tibet too, they don't have that much water in Tibet, but in the high altitudes. Here's the thing, you can get accustomed to any of it. Okay, but no matter how you do it, when you're looking at the energy levels, okay, the more you get it cleared out, the better your health is going to be. And again, don't take my word for it. Okay, do your own research. And we are down to the 15-minute mark. Okay, now, the other thing I did find out, as soon as I started getting the energy cleared up, my eyesight started to improve. And yes, I'm still working with glasses. But then you got to remember, a decade back, I couldn't see my glasses held right there. Now I only wear my glasses to read what's on the computer or to play my games on the PS5. If I'm not doing that, these glasses don't even leave the house with me most of the time. But it boils down to deciding what you desire out of your life. For me, even this little thing. Okay, this is my little cup that I keep my pencils and pens and what have you in. Okay, and even this used to be jam full. I've moved it all into proper bins, but I keep the ones handy there so I can work with them. But it boils down to making certain everything is properly organized. Something I will tell you, no matter what anybody else is doing, okay, I can tell you all sorts of stories of the way people have changed their lives. Okay, and that's why I decided to bring this one out. Did I put it back? Nope. When I brought this one out, that's the 9th book I've got in print. Now, the sad part about it, if you're looking for a copy of it, this is literally the key that I'm using to move forward. Okay, but if you go to the link at the top of the chat room, buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej, you'll find every book I've got available. That one will be out within the next week, I suspect. I went in today, gave her the go-ahead, so it should be out pretty quick. And then as soon as it comes out, we will have it available for PDF, by PDF as well. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. Philip, I agree with you. And it is a viable question. Philip is just asking, when you taught PE, he's asking LA, when you taught PE, did you explain what you were doing? Okay, because as Philip points out, and I was the one like him, they called it physical education, and none of the teachers seemed to tell you what they were doing. Okay, except my one in grade 10. When I was in grade 10, when I got into grade 11 rather, my physical teacher there told me exactly what to do. That the reality is, and this is why I say, if you've got questions with what I'm talking about, drop me a line, or better yet, in the chat room, come right out and ask. I am in the process of putting classes together that you can order online. I just haven't figured out how to format them totally yet, but they will be coming. They're one of those things I'm looking at going, add value to what we're doing. Okay, and this is why I say everything we do here is absolutely free. The consulting, and yes, I don't know if you're in the chat room. Somebody sent me a message. They're trying to set up a meeting. They're trying to set up a consultation through the Buy Me a Coffee link. I will be getting back to today. Okay, to make sure it happens. I know I won't be able to do it tomorrow. At least I wouldn't bet on it, but we'll see what happens. The depressing side for me is tomorrow. My fiance got here on the 5th of the month. She's going back tomorrow. But like I told her, she's no longer going home. She's going to a holiday to the States, and she'll be back here as soon as we can get her back up. But again, it really boils down to making certain all of the clutter goes out of the way so that the energy flow in your house runs smoothly. Okay, absolutely absolutely critical. Now I've always, LA says in Tai Chi and Kata. Oh, wait a minute, I think that's the spelling. No, and Kata and things like that, they have specific names and specific reasons for them. Okay, I came to the conclusion years ago for myself, I don't worry too much about the name. I mean, let's face it, I'm a firm believer, call whatever the higher power that you believe in is, call it whatever name you'd like. See, the neat part about it is if nobody explains what's going on, then you won't likely get the message. Oh yeah. Yeah, one of the big things there. Phelps goes, I learned a bit in track about why we always stretch first. That's so you can avoid those annoying things called cramps. Okay. And they can be painful as all get out. But again, oh, by the way, guys, okay, I'm going to show you something. All kinds of people crack their knuckles. And this, I will tell you, is a bad idea. Okay, what I found, like so many people, they take their fingers and they crack them. If you don't crack your knuckles now, don't start. Okay, but there are ways of cracking your knuckles without tearing the tendons. Okay, and yes, I'm not going to go showing you on air because some genius is going to go, oh, you shouldn't have showed people that. You should never educate people. I'm sure that's the way this goes. Oh, Joe goes, the only thing I regret about my high school prom is my senior prom. I didn't go to it. I wasn't going to go to mine, but the one girl in the school, and I wasn't dating her, that treated me decently, just like a normal person. She come to me about 2 days before the prom, and she looks at me and she goes, Keith, are you going to the prom? I went, no, definitely not. I got no interest. And she goes, she looks at me and she goes, and she's got a crowd of people with her, and she goes, here's the thing, Keith, you're going, or we're going to come and kidnap you and take you. So instead of dealing with that kind of an embarrassment, I just voluntarily went. Oh, Joe goes, there was such a gender bias when I was in school. The girls were discouraged to lift weights and do sports, although I lettered in tennis. The neat part there, my dad was actually instrumental in Calgary, which is a province next to us. He grew up there, and he was literally the reason why they made a rule up here, at least in Alberta, that you cannot switch hands in the middle of a tennis game. Because Dad was ambidextrous, so he'd switch hands with the racket, depending on where the ball was. And it made him deadly, when it came to winning. So they made the rule that you had to play with whatever hand you started. Okay. I personally am a firm believer if you're ambidextrous, carry on. But again, it boils down to keeping the energy flowing. And this is why one thing I did find, if you're having trouble stretching your shoulders, Go to a door frame, grab the door frame, like step through it, grab the door frame behind you, and then lean forward. It will help stretch those muscles. Now, I'm no physiotherapist, okay? This is what I do to loosen my muscles up. Oh, nice. LA goes, I'm also the first woman to land in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. I wonder how many of your opponents ended up landing on the floor. The fact of the matter is, I personally couldn't do the sports. It just didn't work. Primarily because, well, screw up your leg, have epilepsy, and have bad eyes, and it really screws things up. One of the biggest things that we got to remember here, when you're looking at energy, the more organized you are in thought, word, and deed, the physically healthier you're going to be. This side effect is also going to be something you feel in your mental acuity. It too is going to get stronger and more organized. Net result, better rest, better emotional balance. My emotions are really well balanced. I'm always depressed. Okay. But, all kidding aside, the more balanced the energy runs through your household, through your office, and subsequently through your body, the more rested and clear thinking and emotionally stable you're going to be. This is just a side effect. Now, with that in mind, tomorrow and Friday we're not here. So, sad to say, tomorrow, what do we got here? Joe goes, one of the reasons why I love this show here is your stories about your life. And one day, well, I appreciate that there, Joe, I really do. And one day I'll get back to those. This Friday when we come back, we're going to revisit Feng Shui, okay, and find out how you can utilize that to make your world work. Okay, that said, until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.